Alright guys, whoever's watching this video, I'm doing this really as a personal journal. It's not going to mean anything whatsoever to most people out there. But you fellas out there from my age generation, you perhaps will appreciate it and have similar stories to share. What you're looking at obviously is a hammer. It's a claw hammer. Nothing super fancy about it or special about it at all. And you probably see them at a yard sale for 50 cents to $1. No big deal at all. However, cleaning out my shed today and I came across this hammer, and I'm telling you, it's like I struck gold. This hammer has a very, very personal, emotional attachment to me. This was the first tool I ever bought with my own money. I had a paper out. I was making about $12 a week. And I was working in a deli for $1 an hour after school, $1 an hour, and then I graduated. I started working for my brother-in-law in construction for $1 an hour, and so I needed some tools. My Uncle Bill, he took me to Sears, and this video is like a tribute to my Uncle Bill. He was like a father image to me. He took me to Sears on Fordham Road in the Bronx. And I wanted to buy a cheap hammer. Like I said, I was only making $12 a week. I was busting my chops. And I wanted to buy a cheap $1, $4 or $5, whatever the hell they were, with a wooden handle. And he would have none of it. He made me buy this Craftsman hammer. And he drove into my head the importance of that name right here, Craftsman. Alright, now you can't even see it no matter how close I get with the camera. But believe me, when I put it in the light, with a magnifying glass, I can still see the M-A-N. It's Craftsman. 50 years old. I was 13 years old when I bought this hammer. I'm 63 years old today. I can't tell you how many nails and what else have you I drove with this. How many times I dropped it and lost it and what else have you. This hammer has been through the mill and back. And I actually thought it was gone for good. And when I found it in the shed today, moving stuff around, I'm telling you, it's like I struck gold. It's just, if you're not an old school tradesman, and you don't have tools that you purchased the way I just told you I purchased this, you can't appreciate this silly little story. But if you are, I'm sure you have a similar story. And I also have, sockets and ratchets and everything else I bought from Sears over the years when I was a kid. I was still a teenager. But this hammer, no joke, is the very first tool I ever bought in my life with my own money. And I owe it to my Uncle Bill. Because he took me to Sears and Roebuck. And he introduced me to the wonderful Sears and Roebuck Craftsman brand. And it's just marvelous, man. Looking at this hammer is so emotional to me. I know it sounds very silly, but believe me, it truly is. And it breaks my heart to see the Craftsman name in the Lowe's stores today. Now the Sears is gone. It just breaks my heart, and I refuse to buy one. I would never buy a Craftsman anywhere else but Sears. Just a matter of principle. And I'm grateful that I'm old enough now I don't need any tools, so I don't have to. But this is what was called a double claw hammer. It's a double claw. I never even knew what the hell it was when I was a kid. My Uncle Bill explained it to me. A smaller claw was for pulling small head nails and tacks. That the heads were too small, they wouldn't fit in the big claw. And at the time I bought it, of course, as a kid, I couldn't care less. But believe me, that thing, obviously you can see the wear on it. That thing was unbelievably ingenious. And I actually just looked online for the hell of it, and I seen the exact same hammer. New old stock, Sears and Roebuck Craftsman hammer. And the auction was $38 and going up. Crazy. I think the straight claws were a little more unique than the usual curved claw, but at any rate, all of that is insignificant. What's only insignificant to me is the fact that this thing lasted me 50 years, and this was the very beginning of my introduction to tools. Thanks to my Uncle Bill, Sears, Craftsman, Sears and Roebuck. It wasn't just Sears back then. It was Sears and Roebuck. Okay, and so that's why I got such a personal attachment to that name. Alright, fellas, as I said, it's a silly video, and most people watching it have no interest, and I couldn't care less. But for you fellas that understand what I'm saying, I'm sure perhaps I touch a nerve. Thanks for watching. Book 'em, Dano.